Good morning, friends, and welcome to Gardening with Creekside. Today we are going to take a tour of the gardens up at the chicken coop. We've got a little bit of everything up there. We've got full sun, we've got part sun, we've got full shade. There are a lot of things that are beautiful successes up there. We've got a couple of messes on our hands and a couple of projects that I want to share with you. But first, clearly, we're not up at the chicken coop. We are here in the privacy berm on the nursery side because you always hear us talk about how important it is to maintain the health of your soil, right? That gorgeous, beautiful friend that you put your plants in and you say a prayer over that they will be, just grow, bloom, and thrive. For us in North Carolina, Zone 8A, where we are in the Piedmont of North Carolina, we have red clay. Like that is our native soil. It's just that lovely red clay. So we say amend, amend, amend all the time. A lot of times because of that red clay and the beautiful rain that we are blessed with, we have gotten, like just this week, over 4, close to 5 inches of rain. So if you have great topsoil and you get constant rain like we do, and oftentimes in very heavy downpours, that topsoil washes away and then you're just left with that raw red clay. That is why we amend, amend, amend. So, and we do that, of course, when we're maintaining our beds and when we are planting. I like to top dress with some great compost. And so that is why we are here, because Jesus and Alberto are just being great, sweet helpers and putting out the entire nursery side of the privacy berm. We are composting, mulching with the Ultra Outdoor planting mix. This is great stuff, y'all. It truly is compost, and the Ultra Outdoor is really good because it also has that aged pine bark fines in it. So here we have the it's the black and the purple bag, right? So the Ultra Outdoor, it is OMRI listed, certified organic, which means it is certified organic. So if you want to grow your fruits, your vegetables, your herbs in there, you absolutely can do that safely because it is organic. Obviously, we're not using this for food production, but it doesn't matter. It is a great, look how beautiful this is, right? And yes, the soil is beautiful. You've got this compost that is in here, which is lovely. You're gonna have some pine bark, right? So we talk about the aged pine bark. This is literally the barks off of pine trees that has been aged some, so it's a great compost. The plants are going to go nuts over this. Now, ideally, we would have done this before the plants had completely flushed out. But you know what? Such is life, and so it is. So here we have, you can see they have started at the bottom of the berm. They're working their way up, and it does make it harder when the plants are flushed out because you can't quite get in there. Maybe as close to the root systems, the ball of the plant, root ball of the plant, but they're doing a fantastic job and getting all of this mulched in here for us. So that is why we love this Ultra Outdoor planting mix, because it does add that great nutrition to the plants. So how does it add nutrition? Well, because it is the compost, right? So that is your natural organic food for these plants. So every time that it rains, it's going to rain again this afternoon, imagine that. So every time it rains, those nutrients start to leach down into the soil. Also, another 2 very practical reasons that we love using this. One, it makes it look really nice. So it's that top dressing, it's the earrings, the necklace, the lipstick, whatever you want to say, of the flower bed. So it makes it look very, very attractive. And then 2, what I personally love is that it helps prevent weeds, because the more organic matter, the mulch you have, the less weeds you're going to have come in there. Are you going to have weeds? Yes, you're going to have weeds. Weeds are always going to be a part of our gardening world. But when you do have those weeds, 1, they're going to be fewer. 2, they're going to be super easy to pull, right? If you see a weed, pull a weed. Whether it is some nice big giant weeds that I happened to see right before I started filming, or they're little tiny weeds. Go ahead, if you see a weed, pull a weed, because the bigger they are, the harder they are to pull. So Jesus and Roberto doing a magnifico job here, taking care of the berm, and we will do this once a year. We actually have not remulched this with organic matter. Obviously we did it when we planted it. I'm trying to think, surely we've done it one more time since then. We did not do it last year. We needed to do it last year. We didn't do it last year. And so that's why you will see a lot of the irrigation lines are exposed. That's simply because all that organic matter has washed away. But yeah, so do this definitely once a year. You could probably, if you put it on there nice and thick, you could probably do it like once every 18 months. So clearly this is a massive spot. We've got 3 pallets of the black gold that we're putting out. Jackson laid them out, and so yeah, so we have 3 pallets of those guys. And so a huge thanks to Jesus and Roberto for doing such an amazing job. Okay, now let's go over here to the chicken coop and let's have some fun, because y'all, it's looking fantastic. Messes and successes, we're all about it here at Creekside Nursery. Let's go look at it. Okay, so we have arrived here at the chicken coop. So we're going to take a nice little tour, and like I said, I'm going to show you the messes and the successes, the things that are doing amazing, those things that, you know, maybe on the struggle bus a little bit, how I'm going to handle those, and then of course upcoming projects, because you know us, there is always a project happening. But for those of you maybe that are not familiar with this space, obviously we have a lovely chicken coop here. This is our second flock of chickens. Originally we had chickens years ago when the kids were little. That is now currently what is our, what we call the garden shed. We got out of chickens for a couple of years, missed them, wanted to bring them back, so we built this coop. It'll be 2 summers, yes, this time 2 years ago we were building it. There you go. So everything that you're going to see up here is basically less than 2 years old, right? So a lot has changed up here in that time period. We have had some great successes. We've had hurricanes and natural disasters that have caused lots of challenges. But you know what? Such is gardening, and that is what you do. So here we go. And literally I have just about every kind of gardening situation up here, as far as like sun, shade, dampness, dryness, you name it, we got it all here. So just to kind of give you the big perspective of here. So of course the chicken coop, Miss B is very happy to be out and that it is not raining. So the chicken coop is here, and then because sometimes people get confused about like where the chicken coop is, so I'm just like panning down, and so this is what we call, this is the back of Hydrangea Hill. The terrace garden, the garden boxes are right here, and then below that is the cottage garden, and then obviously our house is right there. So the garage side clearly, and then the driveway comes this way. The nursery is way back over there. So that kind of just gives you an idea of where we are. So let's start first with the annual plantings. So historically I only put annuals here in front of the chicken coop because I'm trying to keep it a little bit more low maintenance up here as far as like the planting and not having to constantly plant big gardens here. And so this is where I do the nice big plantings of annuals. This is not on irrigation. None of these gardens are on irrigation, and I think that's really important to kind of share with people, because I like to give you the real life perspective of, yes, this is on irrigation and we watered X number, or no, this is not, and these plants are thriving. And so you can get an idea, because irrigation can be quite the luxury, right? And so not everybody has irrigation, or you don't have irrigation throughout your entire gardens. That's our case, right? We have irrigation in a lot of places, but a lot of places we don't have irrigation. So the only thing that is on irrigation, just so you know, basically it stops at the hollies. So the holly trees, the fig tree is on irrigation, and then the holly, the watermelon ruffles, hibiscus, but none from the El Nino and these hydrangeas forward, back, whichever way you want to call it, is not on irrigation. So this season what I did is I planted in the hanging basket. This was Goldilocks Rocks. She's on the downside. Sometimes the Bidens don't handle the heat really well. You can tell she's looking a little rough. Plus, like I said, we've had tons of rain. So in the coming days, I will flip her out for a more heat-loving planter, combination and have it there. And then down here, somebody was just asking, the girls are hungry. They haven't had their, well, they're not hungry. They're being needy. They didn't get their mealworms yet this morning and they're fussing. They got plenty of food. They're just being little bougie divas over here. So this season, I planted a red climbing rose. This is, oh, see, there she goes. The Tess of D'Urbervilles. I think I'm saying that right. And so clearly the chickens do love to peck at it, which is fine. I knew they would. I mean, they're not going to hurt the rose. They can't get that much of the rose because this is a very fine, and so they just get little pieces of it. She's fine. She's doing great. She is clearly very happy. I do have a little critter, a little bug chewing on her. I've not treated her with anything. I'll probably need to do that so that she's a little bit more attractive. Yeah, so something's been chewing on her. It's fine. But you can see beautiful tons of new growth. They're just being little pesky girls, aren't they? Beginning to bloom, so we've got blooms on her, we've got buds, so they're doing great. All I'm having to do is, as it grows, I've got some jute twine that I use and just tie up and hold her up, because your climbing roses, they're not going to cling, they're not going to twine, and so you've got to support them. The Scivola's doing great. This is the new improved, well, the improved Whirlwind White Scivola, doing really nicely here, as is, this is new for next year. This is the Medusa, the black Medusa sweet potato vine. This is one plant, y'all. One plant, and then of course some mini vistas. We got mini vista scarlet, mini vista white, the skyrocket grass, she is growing quite nicely, the yellow lantana, and then, you know, I do love my cleomes, so one cleome, one Senorita Blanca here. Everything that I put in the ground was a grande size container, so just to give you perspective. So one plant, and then this is the new Maestro series of the Agastaki. This is that Maestro Gold, which is that nice yellow. Again, the rain probably didn't help a lot as far as like doing a garden tour, but man, it's a couple days, let them dry out and they will be happy. So then this is the Hollywood hibiscus. This is the red one, and I always get it backwards. I never can remember which one it is. She was misshapen, but she is coming along just nicely, getting lots of new green growth on her. She was one of those rejects that got damaged in shipping, so I happily took her. So we're just kind of waiting on her to fill out. As the heat hits and the humidity hits, she'll go nuts. But you can see all these beautiful buds all over her. So she is doing great here, and then we just repeat it, right? So it's nice and balanced all the way down. So everything is growing quite nicely. As far as, I have not water-soluble fertilized this at all. I'm probably like the world's worst on that, but I planted it in the ultra outdoor planting mix that Jesus and Alberto were putting out. So not only does it work as a great compost mulch, but it also works as a great planting mix, because if you have really rich, organic, healthy soil, then you're not going to have to use very much synthetic fertilizers. Everybody got Biotone, and I did put the slow release fertilizer down, but yeah, have not water soluble fertilized this at all, and these are traditionally very heavy feeders, especially your petunias, and they are doing great. This front bed here in front of the chicken coop, so between Hydrangea Hill and the chicken coop, this is where we have those full sun hot plants. I mean, this place fries, and so this is all shrubs and perennials. Of course, I love color. This is a space up here where I'm just going to throw color in, and I am just going to love it. All the colors of the rainbow go up here. So, you know, simple things like, if you got some sprinter boxwoods, we've got one on each end to kind of anchor it. We've got little tater tots going down. Again, those evergreens. This is the double play dolly spirea. So we've got 3 of those here. So I've got them, I'm kind of creating my own border. I don't want to have a formal pathway. I don't want to have flagstone. I don't want to have rock. I don't want to have stone, because when we do drone shots, I want it to look very natural. But I'm creating my own border here by adding low plants. I still have room. I could still come in and put some spaces in here. I don't really drive the machine in here, but if we had to get like the little bobcat, we could still easily do that. So yeah, so that's that. The gardenias, this is Jubilation. She is blooming. This is the Blue Fortune Agastaki. Not quite yet. We haven't hit that heat for her to start blooming yet, but doing really nicely. And then the Dream Girl Phlox. This is from Walter's Gardens. Tested it out last year. It is a beautiful plant, very healthy. The vigor on it is stunning. Like, it is super, super tight. It is not floppy at all. So that's doing, there's 3 of those, and those are the paniculata phloxes. So they'll begin blooming here in the next couple of weeks. And then as we kind of pan over, like, I need to desperately get some mulch in here and kind of hide the red clay of the, these are the bobblehead alliums. And then I'm just now noticing, so if you're familiar with us, you know that we have been battling rabbits last year and this year. And it looks like Peter, Flopsy, Mopsy are chewing on my Baptisia because this was, or is, the golden anniversary Baptisia, and just a couple of days ago she was absolutely full of foliage, and you can see she is no longer, right? So she's got sticks that's been chewed off. So yeah, Peter's in trouble because he's been chewing on my plants. Even though there's alliums right next door, which are rabbit resistant, not touching those. Clearly went after the Baptisia. The good news is that Brenna is on it. She has discovered the scent of rabbits. She's still not quite fast enough to catch it, but let me tell you, she is trying. And so, yeah. The black smoke bush, this is the Winecraft Black, doing quite nicely. Newly planted, so just kind of hanging out with her. And then Pugster Pinker is beginning to put on her blooms. Oh, this is one of my favorite pugsters. It just performs so well. Gorgeous. And then look at El Nino. El Nino is coming along really, really nicely, flushing out with some beautiful blooms. Planted this, y'all, that year and a half, it'll be 2 years this summer that I planted it as a small 1 gallon. Small, like itty bitty. And you can see I trimmed it really, really well. I'm 5'2". It is taller than I am, and I had heavily pruned it this year. And yeah, so extreme fast grower, but gorgeous. Like, look at those flowers. They remind me of really large snapdragons. I mean, they are absolutely beautiful. Japanese beetles do not like this, but I have found last year that I believe this is right, the Catalina Sphinx moth uses this as a host plant for her babies. And so, yeah, caterpillars will completely annihilate this plant. So just be aware of that. Have your BT spray ready. Yeah, so that's all I'm gonna say about that. You can treat your El Nino how you would like. If you want it with foliage, be aware of those big, huge caterpillars. If you don't mind it being completely defoliated, then there you go. It took the moth a year to find the El Nino, so we'll see what it does this year. But yeah, amazing, beautiful. And when I say this is like the absolute worst red clay, yeah, and there's weeds, you know, it is what it is. And so we've got 2 pufferfish here. That pufferfish is putting out some buds really nicely. I had originally all 3 of these were pufferfishes, and we planted them at the absolute worst time. It was crazy hot. They were full of flowers. This is why they did not transition well. So I lost 2. This is the original one. That's why it's bigger. Then that fall, I replaced it with a smaller pufferfish, and then this is Pinky Winky Prime. So they're doing well, but that just kind of gives you an idea of why we have the size difference between those plants. Yeah, so then coming around, this is this is the poor flower bed. If you are an avid watcher of Creekside Nursery, then you know that this bed has been through it the last year. Last May, we had a horrific flash flood, and there was 2 tornadoes in the area. We did not get hit by the tornado, but we had winds associated being close to a tornado. We had pine trees snap. It was in the gardens. It was a mess. It was not safe for me or anybody to get in there and garden. Life happens. We didn't get the tree down all summer. Thankfully, Hurricane Helene came in September, and with those winds, that tree came down, praise the Lord. So the Lord took care of us for us on that one. So that tree came down, but then we lost another one. And then that one was leaning. It didn't completely uproot because it was caught up in the other trees. And then just a couple of weeks ago, Jerry and Jackson got it down and got it all cleaned up. We had that video. So now I am able to get in here and garden. So that's why you can see that massive red clay. That's where the pine tree was that had gotten caught up in the other trees. But this is the garden that is going to be a labor of love, and I'm so excited about it. I'm so excited I can finally be in here and garden. Just last week, Jackson came in with his pole saw and limbed up some of these limbs that were coming over. They were just too low on the oak trees, and so he just limbed them up so that way we can get more sun in here. Like there was one on this oak tree that was all on the top of this Nellie Stevens holly, and then up in here he got those down for me so that just let more light in. So that's just something that you have to do if you have especially hardwood trees right in a shady area. You're gonna have to keep them kind of limbed up. We want the light to come in, but I want the trees. I want that beautiful canopy. I just don't want the canopy to be down here. So what we're going to do is the goal for this garden is to be that woodland shade garden. The sun does come up straight in front of me, so especially on the front side, this will get about 4 to 5 hours of direct sun in the morning, but it sets directly behind me. So all of this is in complete shade by like 2 o'clock at the latest, and again, no irrigation. So this year the plants have struggled because of neglect, and Mom and I were in here yesterday talking. They're just hungry. Like they need some good organic matter. And so we've got camellias that are going to be planted in here. These are the Invincible Sublimes. But you can see that nature is trying to reclaim itself, right? So there are, I've begun weeding, but there's weeds in here. There's little saplings coming up. We've got briars. We have got, oh my gosh, grapevine galore in here. So we just are gonna have to maintain this and get this stuff kind of knocked down. Some like privet. I see some Japanese sedge grass, which is not what I want in here because that will just take over, highly invasive. So we want to get rid of all of that so that we can come in here and then plant the hydrangeas, the camellias, the hostas, the ferns, the brunnera, the pulmonaria, the eucharis, all those beautiful shade loving, part shade, full shade plants. That's what's going to go in here. So what I'll do is I'll take out the ruby slippers is coming out of her pot. She's going to go in the ground. I've got a Sarcococa. This is the sweet and low, so it's going to come out of that pot because it loves it. I've got 2 in the ground over here, so it'll join those over there. I've got guacamole hosta. I mean, holy guacamole, people. She needs to come out of this pot. She'll go in the ground for sure. And then last year I had bought 3 Invincible lace hydrangeas. I had ordered them from another company, and so popped them in these little terracotta pots. And these need to go in the ground. Beautiful. These are from Proven Winners, Invincible lace. So they're going to go somewhere in this general area. And then we talked about how this is the stump from the tree that had fallen, that was kind of uprooted. So we're going to do some stumpery. So I am in the process of getting the soil out of the roots, so you can see here. It's a muddy mess with all the rain, but just taking my hory and chipping away at the soil so that those beautiful roots are exposed. So we'll have some stumpery in here. I'm going to leave this pine tree stump right there, just gonna have the boys kind of level it off for me, put something fun there. Probably not gonna be a planter just because it's a little far back as far as having to water it, but I'm thinking some sort of like fun little statue, like a little unique stone, whether it's an owl or I don't know, something up there. So that's gonna happen there. And then this, yes, lovely garden. This garden is so fun because the 2 ends are going to be shade. Clearly we have got hostas, Japanese maples, camellias, carex, hydrangeas. These are the corners are the shade, whereas in the middle is the full hot sun. But I just planted this stuff. You were with me when I did the carex and the hostas and the hydrangeas. They are loving it. They are doing great. I mean, beautiful blooms. The way that this hydrangea is positioned, I can actually see these red blooms from my kitchen sink window. So it's really, really fun. And then my Haas halo. So my sweet friend Tina got me a Haas halo last summer on one of her traveling trips. She found it, grabbed it for me. It was late summer. It was on the struggle bus, but you know what? She is looking great now. So the Invincible lace that I just showed you and the Haas halo are both really great for pollinators. So they love these hydrangeas and are doing really, really well. So very happy about that. The daylilies are getting ready to bloom. So we're getting ready to go into daylily season. And so this is the first time this year that I have put annuals in this space. So this is the Cleo Magenta Cleome right here. So I've trimmed them back. So those are doing really well. And then on this side, we have the Senorita Rosalita Cleome. And so basically I'm just doing a test run. I'm like, okay, so what's the difference? So we planted them the same, they're the same number, they're in the same conditions. So it's gonna be fun to kind of watch those as they grow. Did some plum crazy salvias, let the hummers have some fun. And then I had lantana left over, so we did lantana as a ribbon, and then there's some more over here, did those as well. Now let's talk about messes. So this rose is obviously a standard, and we got them at the nursery last year. At the end of the season they looked rough, and I was just like, well, you know, let's just give the plant some credit because it is the end of the summer and they're in a nursery pot. They just seem to struggle a little bit. I'll take this home, planted it. So I planted in this unique stone container, faithfully watered it, fertilized it, pruned it, treated it, did everything correct. She was gorgeous this spring. I mean, loaded. Small, double, deep red blooms. Beautiful plant, right? Stunning. At the end of her bloom cycle, she completely defoliated. When I say she dropped every single leaf on her, I'm telling you, she dropped every single leaf on her. So this is new growth. And all the ones at the nursery did the same thing. So she's gonna go in the compost pile, because this is the thing about, you know, plant genetics, is that all plants are not created equal, and some genetics are a lot stronger. That should never have happened. Like, everything was done correct. Everything was done correct. And she did it. That'll be twice, because it was last summer, and then the ones at the nursery did it. So she's going to the compost pile. I don't have time for that, y'all. If it's my mistake, fine. But when you got bad genetics, I'm not doing that. So there you go on that. But yeah, everything is just doing nice. The hydrangeas, the little lime punches are budding out. The nine bark that I planted earlier, she is very happy. I was worried about how she would transition, but she's just doing great, as are the Let's Dance Arebas. So Let's Dance Areba, of course, that great reblooming hydrangea. It is so interesting because my newer planted hydrangeas are pink. I mean, clearly very pink. They're beautiful, but it's kind of funny because we have very naturally very acidic soil. Like, that is just what we are. So all of the hydrangeas that have been here in our established are really blue. So I don't know if it's the biotone, if it's what it is, but it's kind of interesting to see how pink they are and if they will transition in the coming years to blue. I don't care if it's pink or blue or purple or whatever color it is, they're gorgeous. I just think it's interesting because you don't see pink hydrangeas around here very often. You see those blues and those purples, but I am taking it. And then, yeah, this whole little corner is doing quite well. Love those blueberry muffin hostas back there. I mean, they just absolutely glow. Just a beautiful blue hosta. All three of them just very happy. And then even over here, my sun hosta, so this is what it's called. It's called sun hosta and can take full sun. So this gets really intense, like late afternoon sun, and really is in the sun all day. And look at her. I know it's not July and August, but not 1 ounce of burn on her. I just did not think that we could do hostas in the full sun. but man, she is holding her own and doing quite well right here. So, oh yes, okay, let's do this corner. We haven't done this corner. So remember when I was telling you when we were up at the privacy berm about how erosion and rain and all the topsoil just gets washed away? Well, this is a great example. Now, this is a road, and I understand that, and that we do drive on it, but like this area right in here does not get driven on. It is rare. Mostly we're coming this way. So this was all covered in really thick, just like wood chip, like, you know, when the power people come through and they trim the trees and they have that big chunky wood left over, and they dump it. So that's what we had in the paths, right? So gone. I mean, absolutely washed. You can see like the ripples of where it has washed, and you can see that red clay. That is my native soil. That is what these plants are growing in. So that is why we just amend, because it is so incredibly important. You can see like right here, where all of this was mulch and it has washed down. This is holding pretty good up here. Could probably use some more, but yeah, so that's just kind of an example of what's happening. These are Apache rose grasses, beautiful panicum grass, very happy, some nice petite, I forget the exact name. They're a shorter daylily with a double red bloom on them. So those don't have any buds yet. They're a little bit of a later bloomer, but everything else is just doing really, really well. The Platinum Beauty Lamandra, so we planted those this year. These will probably be an annual for me. These are from Southern Living, but they're gorgeous, that blondie color. Lovely. My Forever Goldie, remember she got squished by the tree in Hurricane Helene. I mean, coming back nice and strong and very, very happy, because basically the pine tree is right where Johnny was and took out a whole hunk of her, and she has reflushed quite lovely. That Jubilation Gardenia from Southern Living. And then look at these. This is the Alstroemeria from Proven Winners. New this year. Scarlet something sorry on the name, but man, these make great cut flowers if you want to do cut flowers. I don't, I just want to leave them, and so doing really well along with the Ascot Rainbow Euphorbia. Remember, we took those out from the chicken coop, planted them, and this one does need to be pruned, but yeah, doing really well, as is the perennial hibiscus. I mean, everything is doing nice, just trying to keep the weeds out. And then the bunnies. So we've got like Rudbeckia here, we've got Echinacea, more of the alliums, trying to keep those rabbits out of here. But overall, could not be happier with how this entire space is doing, because like I said, 2 years ago, we were building the chicken coop, and I don't think any of the plants were here yet. If they were here, it was like they were freshly planted. So this has been a really fun area to do. It has been a challenging area to do because it is so incredibly hot. The soil is beyond horrible. And then the fact of no irrigation. So watering, especially when you're trying to get the plants established, right? So that has been the big thing. But overall, could not be happier. Oh, let's come over here right quick. Happier with how everything is doing. And yes, if you see my Forever Goldies, those were the ones that were in the urn on the back porch. They need to be planted, but as you can see, when we get tons of rain, the water collects right here. We have a French drain, and so it'll drain out and it'll be gone like by this afternoon if it doesn't rain again. It'll be gone. But this is one of those areas that Jerry's gonna have to come in here because we can't have standing water here after every single rain. So the Forever Goldies are getting water. They're soaking it up. They're happy. They're fine. But yes, that's what's going on there. All right, Rise Up Ember Rays. Rose from Proven Winners. Oh my gosh, y'all. So I don't have really, quote, the perfect bloom to show you. This is an older one, but it is a stunning rose. They start out this really like intense coral color, and then they will change. They'll have some yellow on the inside. It is a Rise Up, so it's a mini climber, but just covered in buds. Lovely, beautiful, very happy plant. And this is in one of the Aquapot Light planters. So this is actually the light container that has the insert in it, and the rose is doing magnificently well. Invincible Ruby, she is going to end up in the garden. Again, all the rain last night, she is waterlogged, but the Invincible Rubies are gorgeous right now, so she'll end up in the ground. And then Temple of Bloom, man, third year, going into the third year, Temple of Bloom decided she's going to grow. So praise the Lord for that. She just kind of sat for a little bit, but this year, man, we have had massive growth on her. For example, if the camera can even show it. So this whole limb right here, all the way down, is brand new growth from this year. So she is coming along. She's, like I said, she tapped into something happy. Roots are good, and so she is just going to grow like crazy. So there you go, an update on the chicken coop gardens and everything that it entails, the messes, the successes, the projects that are ongoing here. This garden is going to be, like I said, a labor of love for the next coming years, but I'm excited to see how it grows and develops. It's going to be really fun. So if you have found this fun and informative, inspirational, we would love it if you would like and subscribe to Gardening with Creekside. That way you don't miss those 5 videos that we do each and every week. But I hope you found something, a little nugget of information or inspiration that you have gathered from this video today. But y'all have an amazing day. The girls are getting mad at me because I need to give them their mealworms, so I'm going to do that. Get off of here. Have a great day. We'll see you in the next video. Bye, friends.